Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. So again, welcome to our subject. And for today, we are about to continue the discussion of property, plant, and equipment, okay, with the topic measurement after initial recognition. Okay, so just sit back, relax, take down notes, and if you have questions, please let me know. Okay, again, this is your instructor, Noel Bergonia. So let's start. Okay, so in our previous discussion about the initial recognition of PPE, no, kung naalala nyo po, we have discussed that PPE should be immediately or initially recognized at costs. Di ba? Yun yung ating initial recognition at costs. But in accordance with IAS number 16, okay, the measurement of the PPEs after initial recognition should be based on either the cost model or the revaluation model, okay, as its accounting policy and shall apply that policy to the entire class of the property, plant, and equipment. So that is in accordance with paragraph number 29. Okay, so later, we will be distinguishing cost model from revaluation model. But this is the measurement after initial recognition of our PPEs, no? Cost model or even revaluation model. And take note po ha that it should be in the entire class. So when we talk about class of property, plant, and equipment, okay, it refers to the groupings of these PPEs, no, based on the similar nature and of course based on use in our company's operations. Okay, so in accordance with IAS number 16, here are just some of the separate classes, okay, or examples na binigay po doon. No? We have the land, okay, you have also land and buildings, machineries, no? You have the ships or aircraft, even motorcycles, furnitures and fixtures, office equipment, and the bearer plants that we have already discussed under our biological assets, di ba? Na, or even the initial recognition then ng ating PPEs, no? So these are just some of the separate classes. And again, no, remember that our choice of model to be used should be using the entire class. Okay, so let's see for the land, no, we have the whole, kung marami ka pong uri ng, marami kang lupa, no, that are under PPEs, then the whole entire class, whole na nga, entire pa, no, the whole class of that land will be using a specific model na binanggit natin kanina. Okay, so right now we are about to discuss now individually the various models. Okay, so we have mentioned kanina about cost model. Okay, so this cost model was already been introduced to you nung tayo po ay nagde-depreciate ng assets and even in the previous ng mga discussions, no, wherein our cost model is applying, okay, the concept that our PPEs after initial recognition, okay, should be carried at its costs, okay, less any accumulated depreciation, okay, which is coming from the depreciation of PPEs, of course, and any accumulated impairment losses. Okay, so in our another video lecture about impairment of PPEs, now we will be talking about these impairment losses. Okay, so ayun po, cost less accumulated depreciation, less accumulated impairment losses. So yan yung net book value natin or carrying value natin using the costs model. Okay, so the fair values or any other values, no, aside from these costs and the accumulated impairment losses and depreciations will be ignored. Okay, so we will not be discussing it further kasi we have already discussed the depreciation and the accumulated depreciations in the previous presentations, but the impairment losses will be presented to you on a separate video lecture. Okay, so just watch that na lang. Okay, so the other model was the revaluation model. So when we talk about revaluation model, our property, plant, and equipment, no, is technically having the fair value, which can be measured reliably, okay, shall be carried, no, at revalued amount. And when we talk about the revalued amount, okay, it refers to the fair value at the date of revaluation. So we need to identify magkano po yung fair value. Remember that we can use this model if the fair value can be measured reliably. Okay? and then less any subsequent accumulated depreciation. So after the revaluation, you still need to depreciate the asset, and just in case no, there would be succeeding impairment, then any subsequent accumulated impairment losses. Okay, so ang pinagkaiba nila is, again, do sa cost model, you record it at cost less all of the accumulated depreciations and impairment. But in this case, under revaluation model, especially for those PPEs na fair values can be measured reliably, the fair value less any subsequent accumulated depreciation and impairment losses. Okay, so mamaya in our example, we will deal with this revaluation model. Okay? So right now, no, the next question after knowing what's the reporting of this using the various models, no, what's the frequency of revaluation? No? So kanina kasi sabi natin dito sa revaluation model, we need to record it at fair value. So what's the frequency? Okay. So before we proceed with the frequency, no, excited ako masyado. So if the assets no are being revalued under the revaluation model, okay, it should be the entire class. Okay, to be the entire class of the property, plant, and equipment. Okay, which that asset belongs, okay, shall be revalued. So kagaya rin ng binanggit natin kanina, the entire class should be revalued. Okay? So, ayan na. Okay, so excited na natin. Ano po yung frequency ng revaluation? So, in accordance with paragraph number 34, okay, so the frequency of the revaluation will just depend upon the changes in our fair value kasi 'di ba we are reporting using the fair values of this property, plant, and equipment subject to our revaluation. Now, some of the property, plant, and equipments which have significant and volatile changes in its fair value are usually um, revalued annually. Again, take note, it should be significant and volatile for any changes in fair value. Okay, it should be revalued annually. But for some, no, that are unnecessary or insignificant po yung ating mga changes in fair value, okay, so we can do the revaluation item under either no every 3 years o kaya naman 5 years. But again, it does not specify no na kung ano man yung years na covered, but it's either every 3 years or even every 5 years. But eventually, no, based on my experience sa company namin previously, no, we tried the revaluation actually twice a year. Okay, kasi napaka significant ng changes. But that's on our policy, no. But in accordance with IAS number 16, no, it could be annually, okay, for those that are volatile as to changes in fair value. Okay? So again, pag may questions po kayo, please let me know. Okay, so ayan po yung frequency natin ha. Do not forget to be mindful about this. Okay? So now let's talk about the accounting procedures for revaluation. So in our IAS number 16, no, at the time of the revaluation, okay, the assets are treated one of the following ways. Okay, we have a technical term na proportional method wherein it refers that our PPE, okay, should be having the gross carrying amount that is adjusted, okay, inconsistent with the revaluation of the carrying amount of the assets. So later, once we apply the proportional method, no, we will be applying the changes in our gross carrying value. So it means the original cost ng PPE natin at saka yung ating accumulated depreciation will be adjusted inconsistent with the revaluation of the carrying amount of the asset. So mamaya, no, proportionally, okay, based on our computation, no, we will be presenting a new set of values for our cost and accumulated depreciation if we will be using the proportional method. Okay. On the other hand, when we talk about elimination method naman, okay, the accumulated depreciation was being eliminated. So tinatanggal po natin para yung ating fair value will be now representing the carrying value of our asset. Okay? So, mamaya, no, makikita ninyo sa elimination, i-debit natin yung lahat ng accumulated depreciation so that mag-equal po yung ating carrying value with our fair value. Okay? So, either of the two, okay, will be used. Pero most of the time, companies are using proportional method. Okay? So, in our succeeding examples, we will give no, examples about this. Okay? So, in addition to this, no, if the carrying value of our asset, okay, increases as the revaluation increases, so we will be recognizing yung tinatawag po natin na revaluation surplus. So as you can see mamaya, no, pag pataas ng pataas yung values ng PPE compared with the current carrying value, then that would be charged as revaluation surplus. No? And that revaluation surplus would be presented under the other comprehensive income, no, for the increase. Okay, kaya dun sa CFAS ninyo, maybe na you have encountered there the increase in other comprehensive income, okay, because of the increase in the revaluation surplus, and any accumulated amount of this revaluation surplus would be presented in our statement of financial position under the equity section. Okay, so again, tandaan niyo yun. Ang increase, no, sa revaluation surplus sa OCI, sa statement of comprehensive income. Okay, pero accumulated amount, it would be presented under the revaluation surplus in our equity section sa balance sheet. Okay? So however, sometimes no, our increase, okay, however, the increase shall be recognized in profit or loss to the extent of reverse of the revaluation decreased of the same asset previously recognized in the profit or loss. So in our future example, no, so we will encounter there that any revaluation decrease, no, and its reversal, okay, could be part of the profit or loss if it was previously recognized in profit or loss. But technically, the revaluation surplus is an OCI account, okay, which is bihira lang po yung napupunta siya sa profit or loss dahil sa revaluation loss. Okay? So yun po yun. Dahil nagkaroon ng decrease ng revaluation. Or later, no, we will call that as recovery. Okay? I think it will not be here, but in the other video lecture about impairment. Okay? So that's based on paragraph 39. Ha? Now, based on paragraph 40 as well of IAS number 16, if the assets carrying amount decrease, okay, as a result of revaluation. So, pag nag-revalue ka, it does not necessarily mean na palaging pataas yung value mo. Okay? If just in case there would be a decrease, no, that decrease will be recognized in the profit or loss. Okay? So, yan na po yung tinatawag natin na impairment loss, which will be also discussed as well in our other video lecture about impairment losses, okay? Or other term for it in various materials would be revaluation loss, okay? Yung revaluation surplus, it's increase. Pag revaluation loss, decrease naman po, okay? However, this decrease as well is to be recognized in the other comprehensive income, no, to the extent that we will have revaluation surplus. So ayun nga po, yung revaluation surplus sa OCI po yan. Okay? Pero again, there would be impairment losses, okay, that we will encounter which needs to be recognized in our profit or loss. Now, the decrease recognized in the other comprehensive income, okay, reduces the accumulated equity under the revaluation surplus. So sometimes po kasi madidebit natin yung revaluation surplus. So pag nag-debit tayo ng revaluation surplus, it means decrease. Ang normal balance kasi niyan po is credit. Okay? So pag credit or increase, okay, then it will be presented under our what? Yung changes, di ba? Kanina nabanggit na natin. Pag changes, saan? Sa other comprehensive income. Okay? Pero kapag ito po ay ending balance or accumulated balance, then it will be found in our equity section. Okay? So I hope nasusundan niyo po ako at hindi magulo yung aking discussion. Okay? So this revaluation surplus that we have in our continuous revaluation can be transferred to retained earnings. Okay? So sabi po sa paragraph number 41 of our IAS 16, no, that revaluation surplus can be transferred to our retained earnings, okay, una, okay, when the asset is derecognized. Okay, so it's based on the company's policy, no, that our revaluation surplus can be transferred to retained earnings. Okay, alam niyo naman na siguro yung retained earnings, right? Okay, accumulation of the earnings of the entity, no, when it is derecognized. Okay, that's the first option. But in some cases, no, if the entity does not want to transfer it only on the derecognition, okay, so in some cases, our entity may transfer that surplus, no, to the to the retained earnings, no, when the asset is used by the entity. So, kumbaga, habang ginagamit natin yung property na may revaluation surplus, then ilagay mo na yung or i-transfer mo na yung revaluation surplus to retained earnings immediately every period that you are using the asset. Okay? So, sabi po in paragraph 41, the amount of the surplus transferred would be the difference between the depreciation based on the revalued amount of the asset and the depreciation based on the original cost po natin. Okay? So, any questions or clarification? Now, take note that the transfer from the revaluation surplus to the retained earnings are not made through the profit or loss. So, hindi po tayo naglalagay sa profit or loss, guys, ng revaluation surplus. Diretso po siya sa retained earnings. Okay, so any questions or clarifications, please let me know lang po on our respective chat boxes. Okay, so let's proceed with our examples, no, to apply the theoretical concepts that we have discussed. Okay, so let's have example number 1. So on December 31, 2018, Ice Cream Corporation has an only item of machine which has a cost of 3 million and accumulated depreciation of 1,200,000, which was revalued to a market value of 2,700,000 and a remaining useful life of 6 years. The company adopts the policy of reporting this property, plant, and equipment at revalued amount less subsequent accumulated depreciation and subsequent impairment losses. So we are using the revaluation model, di ba? So the company restates the accumulated depreciation proportionately. So we will be using the proportional method na sabi natin kanina, the proportional amount of the carrying value will be allocated with regards to the increase, di ba? And we transfer the portion of the revaluation surplus as the asset is being used by the entity. So piecemeal yung ating transfer ng revaluation. And as of January 1, 2021, a second revaluation indicates that the equipment had a fair value of 1,500,000. So we are asked to prepare the journal entries from the year 2018 up to 2021. Okay? So as our first step, no, we need to apply the proportional method. Okay? So how do we apply the proportional method? So I have presented here, no, ito po yung typical na template natin pag tayo po ay nagpo-proportionate, no? So we have the carrying value, okay, which is actually the difference between the cost and accumulated depreciation, and referring to the revalued amount, which is later, no, ipo-proportionate po natin yan, and the increase. Okay, which is we will be proportionating it as well. So una muna, no, on December 31, 2018, ang sabi po, at the time that we have revalued that PPE, we have a cost of 3 million. Okay, yun yung cost natin. Then the accumulated depreciation was 1,200,000. So magkano po yung carrying value? It will be how much? 1,800,000. Okay, so tandaan yan, no? Then after that, okay, so ang sabi po, yung market value natin was 2,700,000. So that 2,700,000 will now be our new carrying value under the revalued amount. So yan na po yung revalued amount natin. So dapat after the revaluation na i-entry natin mamaya, no, the carrying value will be the revalued amount or market value of 2,700,000. So magkano po yung naging increase, class? The answer would be 900,000. So yun po yung increase natin. So now, how do we proportionate okay, this 900,000. So sabi kanina in the theoretical discussion, we will be proportionating it based on the carrying value. So ito yung gagamitin natin, the cost, accumulated depreciation, and carrying value. Okay, so paano? So grab your calculator and let's try to compute. Okay, so unahin natin yung sa costs. Okay, so in the cost, no, you have 3 million. Okay, kunin mo tong 3 million, gawin mo siyang numerator, then divide it with the 1,800,000. So costs, okay, over carrying value. So that would be ilan po? Okay, actually, no need for you to round it off, ha. Then multiply it with the increase na 900,000. Okay, so that's 3 million over 1,800,000, then yung nakuha mo pong quotient, multiplied mo yun by 900,000. So yun yung pagpo-proportionate po natin, okay? And the proportionate increase sa cost po natin would be 1,500,000. Nakuha nyo ba yan? Very good. Okay? So yun po yung proportionate sa increase ng costs. Then on the other hand, as to the accumulated depreciation naman po, so yung accumulated depreciation, which is the 1,200,000, no, i-divide mo lang din siya doon sa ating carrying value na 1,800,000. Okay? So yung nakuha mong quotient, multiply it again with the 900,000. Okay? So ano na pong kalalabasan yan? Okay, that's correct. No? There is a proportionate increase in our accumulated depreciation worth 600,000. So kung napansin ninyo, tataas yung cost natin by 1,500,000. Tataas din yung accumulated depreciation by 600,000. So that's the functionality of the proportionating of the changes in the gross carrying amount. Okay, para yung increase po was totaling pa rin 900,000. Okay? So just in case lang, no, after the revaluation, magkano na po yung cost natin? The cost will now be 4,500,000. So that's the 3 million plus the increase of 1,500,000. Okay? And then as to accumulated depreciation, we have already 1,800,000. So dati po, you have 1,200,000. Then nag-proportionate increase dahil po sa revaluation na 600,000. Okay? So as you can notice, the revalued amount na 4,500,000 less the accumulated depreciation of 1,800,000, that is also equal to our market value na 2,700,000. Okay? So that's how it works for our proportionate method. Okay? So hindi na ako nagko-convert into percentage para dire-diretso na tayo, ha. Yung tinuro ko sa inyong cost over carrying value over tapos accumulated depreciation over carrying value, then multiplied nyo lang po siya with the increase. Okay? Actually, ang kailangan lang naman talaga natin dyan is the increase. No? Kasi yun po yung gagamitin natin to record the revaluation on December 31, 2018. So ano po yun? So we debit, no, machine kasi tumaas po yung machine by 1,500,000. Then we credit, no, accumulated depreciation 600,000 because there is a proportionate increase in the accumulated depreciation, and we credit the revaluation surplus na 900,000. Okay? So are we clear on that? All right, very good. So ito na po yung revaluation natin, and after that, ang values na po natin in our statement of financial positions will be itong nasa revalued amount column na po natin. Okay? So I hope na nagets po natin yan, ha? Then continuing po, no, after 2018, we have 2019. Okay? So ang sabi kasi, we will valuing it, no, revalued amount less the subsequent accumulated depreciation and subsequent impairment losses. So we will still depreciate on the succeeding years, no? Ang next revaluation pa kasi is January 1, 2021. Okay? It depends upon the company. So on December 31, 2019, no, we will depreciate the asset. So paano na po natin i-depreciate? It's just like applying the changes in accounting policy na diniscuss po natin in a separate video, no? We will be depreciating it using the new carrying value, okay, which is the 2,700,000, then divide it with the remaining useful life of 6 years, and that would be 450,000. So that's why our entry on December 31, 2019 is debit depreciation expense for 150,000, and we credit accumulated depreciation for 150,000. Okay, that's our new depreciation after the revaluation. Okay? So ano pa yung nakakalimutan nating entry sa 2019? Remember that as mentioned here, we transfer the portion of our revaluation surplus, okay, as the asset is being used. So from revaluation surplus, ita-transfer po natin yun sa retained earnings. And how do we do it? Okay, so kanina sabi natin that's the difference between the original depreciation at saka yung new depreciation. However, we cannot identify magkano yung original depreciation natin kasi wala namang sinabing useful life. But there is another alternative how to allocate it. No? It's just simply dividing our increase or the revaluation surplus with the remaining useful life. Parehas lang din po yun ng kalalabasan. Okay? Kung yung difference ng original depreciation at saka nung new depreciation. Okay? So we have here 900,000 divided by 6. Okay? So that would be remaining useful life, diba? So it would be 150,000. So to transfer it, we debit revaluation surplus 150,000 and we credit retained earnings 150,000. Okay? Actually, pwede na natin makuha kung magkano yung original depreciation eh. Ito yung difference ng old depreciation, sabi ko kanina na old depreciation at saka new depreciation na pinagbabasihan ng transfer. So 150 plus 450. So originally yung asset na yon has a 600,000 depreciation. Kung titignan mo 1,200,000 yung accumulated niya. So ibig sabihin it was just depreciated 2 years bago nag-revalue noong 2018. Okay? Pero again let's focus on the transfer. So ganito po yung transfer if ever that you cannot identify the difference between the old depreciation and the new depreciation. Just simply spread it out over the remaining useful life natin, okay, which is in this case 150,000. Okay, so I hope that you can still follow Okay, so if I asked you how much is the balances of this amounts in the end of 2019. Okay, so ito na po yung balances natin. In December 31, 2019, as to the carrying value, so yung cost na po natin, di ba kanina in the revalued column was 4,500,000. And then, yung accumulated depreciation na nasa revalued column din, that was 1,800,000. Then add the depreciation in 2019 na 450,000. So the revised accumulated depreciation was 2,250,000 as of 2019. And then the carrying value now on December 31, 2019 was 2,250,000. Okay? So I hope na nasusundan natin So this is already the revalued amount less the subsequent accumulated depreciation. Okay? On the other hand, with regards to our revaluation surplus, okay, originally noong 2018 may 900,000. Pero nag-transfer po tayo ng 150,000 kanina in our entry in 2019. So thus, the remaining balance po natin for the revaluation surplus which will appear saan? Sa ating correct our statement of financial position kasi this is the ending balance, okay, that would be 750,000. Okay, so I hope na nasusundan po natin Okay, those are the balances to be presented in your statement of financial position. Yung 150,000 nakabawasan doon sa ating revaluation surplus will be presented under OCI in the statement of comprehensive income as decrease. Okay? That's simply the transfer of our revaluation surplus. Okay? So, I hope na nasusundan po natin Then, to continue on December 31, 2020, okay, we depreciate ulit. Similar lang kasi wala pa naman pagbabago sa 2020. So, debit depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation, 450,000. Okay? And then, for our transfer, debit revaluation surplus, 150,000 and credit retained earnings, 150,000. Now, as to the ending balances, so again, yung cost natin was 4,500,000. Our accumulated depreciation will now become 2,700,000 and the carrying value as of the end of 2020 was 1,800,000. Okay? Then as to the revaluation surplus, nabawasan na naman po ng 150,000 because of the transfer. Thus, the remaining balance po will be 600,000 at the end of 2020. Okay? So may isang taon pa, 2021, no? So that's 2020. Okay? And right now, using these carrying values, no, we will be revaluing our PPE, no, on January 1, 2021 worth 1,500,000. Okay? So on January 1, 2021, okay, at the time of revaluation, we will apply again the proportionate method. Okay, but by this time, no, ang cost po natin is already the new cost na 4,500,000 kanina, and then yung accumulated depreciation, kunin nyo yon mula sa accumulated depreciation as of December 31, 2020, which is 2,700,000, and our carrying value was 1,800,000. Now, the revalued amount as per problem or the fair value was 1,500,000. So is it a decrease or increase? It was a decrease. So nag-decrease po tayo by 300,000. Okay? So even though it is a decrease, now we need to still proportionate it based sa kanina natin. So as to the cost, yung 4,500,000 natin, okay, divide it with 1,800,000, then multiply it with the decrease na 300,000 to proportionate the decrease in our costs. So that would be 750,000 na decrease in our costs. Okay? Then as to the accumulated depreciation, ano po yung share ng decrease? So it's 2.7 million divided by 1,800,000, okay, times 300,000. So the proportionate amount of the decrease was 450,000. So kaya yung total decrease natin or net decrease was 300,000. Okay, now, if you want to determine the new revalued amount or carrying value, so the carrying value less the decrease, less. Kasi decrease yun eh. Kanina increase. So for the revalued amount, it was 3,750,000 na lang. While as to the accumulated depreciation, it was 2,250,000 na lang po, no, after deducting the original carrying value at saka yung decrease po natin. Okay? So as you all know, in our journal entry, no, at the time of the revaluation, since nag-decrease po tayo, okay, so we will be recording a decrease in the revaluation surplus. So that would be a debit to accumulated depreciation, yung share doon sa decrease na 450,000. Then the revaluation surplus, dahil enough pa po, di ba? Magkano pa yung balance kanina? 600,000 pa pala yung kanina, no? So enough pa naman yung revaluation surplus. Kasi kung hindi na enough, meron ng impairment loss na nakadebit dapat. Okay? So enough pa naman, so we will just be debiting it to the revaluation surplus, and then we credit the machine worth 750,000. Okay? So I hope that you can still follow, ha. So yan po, no, yung decrease naman. Hindi lahat ng revaluation, sabi ko kanina, increase, di ba? We have also decrease. Okay? Aside from impairment loss pa na i-record natin mamaya in another video lecture. Okay? So continuing lang po, no, of course, on December 31, 2021, you need also to depreciate again. So in terms of depreciation, magbabago ulit siya since our revalued amount carrying value already changes. So we will be dividing the 1,500,000 with the remaining useful life na 4. So saan nanggaling yung 4? Noong December 31, 2018 kasi 6 years pa. So nakalipas na yung 2019 at saka 2020. Sir, bakit hindi mo minus yung 2021? Kasi January naman po nagkaroon ng revaluation. So the 6 minus our 2, okay, so that would be equal to 4. Okay? So 4 na lang po yung remaining useful life natin, which gave us the depreciation expense na 375,000. Okay? So we debit depreciation expense 375,000 and we credit accumulated depreciation 375,000. Okay? So I hope that you can still follow, ha. Pag may questions po, please let me know lang sa ating respective chat boxes. Okay? Then to continue, no, of course, since may natitira pa tayong revaluation, then we transfer it. So originally in December 31, 2020, may 600,000 pa. And then dito ngayon on January 1, di ba, nag-debit po tayo ng 300,000. Thus, the remaining revaluation surplus to be transferred was 300,000. Then you divide it by 4, okay? Divided by 4. So that will already be 75,000. So our transfer would be 75,000. So we debit revaluation surplus 75,000 and we credit retained earnings 75,000. Okay? So I hope that that is clear. So on December 31, 2021, the carrying value na lang po was 1,125,000. So that's actually the cost or revalued amount natin na 3,750,000 at saka yung accumulated depreciation nung January plus the depreciation expense then in December. So that's 2,625,000. Kaya ang carrying value na lang po was 1,125,000. Then as to our revaluation surplus, okay, we still have 225,000 to be spread out over the remaining periods. Okay? So that's for our example number 1. I hope na nasundan nyo po how it works for a proportionate method. Okay, and we are transferring the portions of the revaluation surplus every time that we are using the asset. Okay, so again, if you have questions po, please let me know lang po on our respective chat boxes. So that's our example number 1. Okay, so again, if you have questions, please let me know. All right, so let's proceed with example number 2. Okay, so in example number 2, you are just being asked, okay, to record on January 1, 2020, okay, up to December 31, 2023, no, yung result ng mga transactions. Okay, so let's read the data. So on January 1, 2020, Salad Corporation purchased a factory equipment for 5,400,000. So that's the original costs, having an original useful life of 10 years. Now, the equipment belongs to a class carried by Salad using Revaluation Model. Any revaluation surplus is transferred to retained earnings at the time of disposal. So, iba naman po siya. Kanina, in example number 1, our transfer happen every period dahil sa gamit natin. Ngayon po, the transfer will happen at the end na lang po on the time of the disposal. That's allowed, di ba, as per our theoretical discussion. Now, the corporation records proportionate relationship between the asset account and accumulated depreciation. So, revaluation model, proportionate method po tayo. Okay, now, the revaluation is as follows on December 31, 2021, okay, 4,680,000. Okay, so let's journalize first at the date of purchase. So it's simply on January 1, 2020, debit factory equipment, credit cash, 5,400,000. Okay, then the next date will be on December 31, 2020, the first depreciation year. So that's simply debit depreciation expense, 540,000, and credit accumulated depreciation, 540,000. So it's simply the costs divided by the useful life of 10 years. Okay, so we're done with 2020. The next date would be on December 31, 2021. Bago tayo mag-revalue, we need to depreciate first or update the carrying value. So before we proceed on that, on 2020 po, we have a carrying value of 4,680,000. Okay? So going back to the 2021, okay, so pag nag-depreciate tayo, same pa rin po, no? We debit depreciation expense, 540,000, and credit accumulated depreciation, 540,000. Okay, so after this depreciation, our carrying value now is 4,320,000. And as you can see, no, our revalued amount is higher compared with the carrying value. And in that case, later, we will be recognizing a revaluation surplus. Okay? So to continue it, no, on December 31, 2021, nung nag-revalue na po tayo, okay, so Again, proportionate po ito. So we try to plot here no, yung cost na 5,400,000. Then lahat na no accumulated depreciation up to December 31, 2021 kanina was 1,080,000. And the carrying value computed in the previous slide was 4,320,000. Now, our revalued amount given was 4,680,000. So yun po yung carrying value ng revalued amount. Is there an increase or decrease? The answer is increase. No? And how much is the increase? There was an increase of 360,000. Okay? So to proportionate the 360,000 to the cost and accumulated depreciation, so gaya po ng ginawa natin kanina in our previous example, so as to the cost, of course, that would be 5,400,000 divided by 4,320,000. So, kung napindot nyo na yung calculator nyo, okay, multiplied nyo po yung result dun sa 360,000 and ano pong lalabas? You are correct, no? The amount was 450,000 increase in our costs. Okay? Then as to the accumulated depreciation naman po, okay, as to our increase, then we will have the accumulated depreciation na 1,080,000 divided by 4,320,000. So nakuha niyo na. Then multiply it with the 360,000. Magkano yung increase? Very good. So the increase was 90,000. So 450 minus 90, that's an increase of 360,000. Okay, so if you want to know the revalued amount, it will just simply be the cost naging 5,840,000 na lang dahil dun sa carrying value na 5,400,000 plus the increase of 450,000. Okay? Then as to the accumulated depreciation, dati you have 1,080,000, then nag-increase po siya by 90,000. So that means we have already a new accumulated depreciation of 1,170,000. Okay, if you tried to deduct that, the revalued amount po is still equal to 4,680,000. Okay? So to record it, no, we debit the factory equipment kasi nag-increase po yung cost by 450,000. Then we credit as well accumulated depreciation 90,000 because of the increase in the accumulated depreciation. Then we credit the increase which is the revaluation surplus na 360,000. Okay? So are we clear on that? Alright, very good. So I hope na nasusundan nyo na po kung paano yung proportionate method. Okay? So remember guys that we will not be transferring our revaluation surplus every period kasi it's only on the time of disposal. So the next date would be on December 31, 2022. Okay? So sa 2022, no, we will be depreciating our assets lang. Wala pong transfer ng revaluation surplus. Again, because it should be on the time of disposal lang. So the depreciation expense will be based on the revised na revalued amount na 4,680,000. Then divide it with the remaining useful life of 8 years. Sir, bakit po 8 years? Kasi 'di ba, you have started in 2020. Okay? We have 2020, then after the revaluation in 2021, 'di ba? So tapos na po yung 2 years. So the useful life of 10 years minus the 2 years, then it would be remaining useful life of 8 years. Okay? That's why the revised depreciation expense was 585,000. So we debit depreciation expense 585,000 and we credit accumulated depreciation 585,000. Okay? So to continue on again, the carrying value on December 31, 2022 was 4,095,000. Okay? And finally, on December 31, 2023, parehas pa rin yung depreciation natin which is 585,000 and the carrying value was 3,510,000 na lang po. Okay? So are we clear on this, guys? So wala kayong nakita ha na transfer from the revaluation to retained earnings kasi hindi pa naman po na-dispose yung PPE. Alright, so I think that's it for example number 2. If you have questions, please let me know lang po on our respective chat boxes. Okay, you can pause for a while and then continue on our last problem, no? Example number 3. Okay, so we're now down to our last example for this measurement after initial recognition. No? We will continue another set of examples, okay, once we discussed already impairment on the separate video lecture. Okay, so let's proceed with example number 3. You are required to record the entry on December 31, 2020 up to actually 2022. No? Up to 2022. So nakalimutan ko na naman, kulang na naman. Okay, up to 2022. So let's read the data. So on December 31, 2020, Mango Graham Corporation has an only item in the machine, okay, with a cost of 3 million and accumulated depreciation of 1,200,000. Okay? Then the revalued amount, and it will be revalued to a market value of 2,700,000. Okay, and having a remaining useful life of 6 years. Now, the company adopts the policy of reporting the items of property, plant, and equipment at revalued amount less subsequent accumulated depreciation and subsequent impairment losses. So this is revaluation model, of course, diba? So the accumulated depreciation is eliminated. So this example is an example of the elimination method. Kanina in the first two examples, those were proportionate method. Ngayon naman po, elimination method. Okay, so we eliminate the accumulated depreciation against the gross carrying amount natin, and the surplus is transferred to the retained earnings, no, as the asset is being used. So the next revaluation or the first revaluation happens on December 31, 2022. Not actually, second pala yun. Kasi ang first revaluation was on 2020. Okay, so may dalawang revaluation tayong titignan ngayon. Okay, so first, no, on December 31, 2020, okay, so we need to take into account na pag elimination method, tatanggalin mo po yung ating accumulated depreciation. Eh magkano ba yon? 1,200,000. So you just debit accumulated depreciation, 1,200,000, then credit yung machine po natin, 300,000. Sir, saan nanggaling yung machine na 300,000? Okay, let me explain that later. And we credit revaluation surplus 900,000. Unahin muna natin yung revaluation surplus. Okay? So sabi sa problem, we have a 3 million na costs. Okay? So that's the original costs. Okay? 3 million. Then we have an accumulated depreciation na 1,200,000. So magkano yung carrying value on December 31, 2020? It was 1,800,000. Tama po ba? Okay. The revalued amount, which is the market value, was 2,700,000. Okay? 2,700,000. So ibig sabihin, our increase in our carrying value was a result of a revaluation plus of 900,000. The difference of 2,700,000 and the 1,800,000. Okay? So right now, remember that we are going to eliminate the accumulated depreciation. So dahil yung accumulated depreciation mo is 1,200,000 lang, okay, so you will be debiting it, okay, lahat. Isi-zero mo nga siya. Okay, and then the result of the difference nung supposed to be revaluation surplus mo at saka yung accumulated depreciation will be deducted in the machine na 300,000. So sir, paano na yung presentation? So dahil ang machine mo, 'di ba? Kung maaalala mo, the machine has 3 million originally, 'di ba? Yung cost minus 300,000 kasi na-credit po natin dito sa entry na to. So magkano na po? 2,700,000. May accumulated depreciation ka ba? Ang sagot, wala na. Bakit? Siniro na po natin. So your carrying value after the revaluation is 2,700,000 which is already equal doon sa ating market value. So yun po yung pinagkaiba if we are going to apply the elimination method at saka yung proportionate method. Kasi sa proportionate, it just affect the costs and accumulated at a proportionate rate. While in this case, the accumulated depreciation needs to be zeroed out while our cost will be affected only if kulang po or may difference pa yung accumulated depreciation over the revaluation surplus. Sir, paano yan kung mas mataas yung revaluation surplus kesa sa machine or sa accumulated depreciation ng machine? Di i-debit mo naman yung machine. Allowed ba yun? Yes. Okay, so ibig sabihin, mas mataas naman yung magiging carrying value ulit niya. Okay, so are we clear on that? Okay, so I hope na nasusundan po ako ha. So that's how elimination method works. We zero out the accumulated depreciation. Okay? So that's in 2020. Now we will be moving forward to 2021. Okay, so remember we need to depreciate it already. So we will be debiting depreciation expense 450,000 and we credit accumulated depreciation 450,000. So that's based on the new carrying value or revalued amount na 2,700,000 divided by the remaining useful life daw po na 6 years. So it's 450,000. Okay? Then remember, we need to transfer our retained earnings our revaluation surplus to retained earnings. So that would be again, dahil we cannot identify ulit, kagaya ito ng example 1 hindi po sinabi kung magkano yung depreciation per year in the previous years, So we have 900,000 which is our revaluation surplus divided by the remaining useful life of 6 years. So every year of the remaining balance natin will be transferred to retained earnings at 150,000. Okay, so we debit revaluation surplus 150,000 and credit retained earnings 150,000. Okay? So as to the balances, we have the carrying value at the end of 2021 na 2,700,000 which is the cost na natin. Okay, kasi di ba nabawasan ng 300,000 yon. Then less po yung depreciation expense or accumulated depreciation in 2021 na 450,000. Thus, the carrying value on December 31, 2021 is 2,250,000. Okay? Then as to the retained earnings revaluation surplus naman po, we have 900,000 kanina in 2020, then na-transfer na po to retained earnings in 2021. So we have only a remaining balance na lang po of 750,000. Okay, so I hope that you can still follow ha. Again, if you do have questions, please let me know lang po on our respective chat boxes. Okay, so to continue, on December 31, 2022, bago po tayo mag-revalue ng panibago, okay, so mag-depreciate muna tayo. So we debit depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation, 450,000. Same lang siya dun sa previous slide. Then, again, transfer the revaluation surplus to retained earnings, 150,000. Okay, now, dahil po, kung mapapansin ninyo, we have already 1,600,000 na new revalued amount. Let's see kung paano po yung gagawin natin. So we prepare again using this even though it's proportionate kanina. Pero ang point lang natin is we will be zeroing out the accumulated depreciation. Okay, so paano natin gagawin yon? The cost, which is 2,700,000 na lang kanina, then less yung accumulated depreciation ng 2021 na 450,000 at saka 2022 na 450,000. So 900,000 po. Thus, the carrying value on December 31, 2022 bago kayo mag-revaluation was 1,800,000. Okay? So to do this, now you have 1,600,000 okay, for the revalued amount which is given po dito. Okay? Then may decrease, no? Kung napansin nyo, may decrease na 200,000. Ipo-proportionate ba natin? Hindi. Bakit? Kasi yung decrease, tatanggalin mo ulit yung accumulated depreciation na 900,000. Okay? So, tatanggalin mo yon, and what will happen is it will decrease our cost by 1,100,000. Sir, paano natin na-determine yon? 1,100,000. Yung total decrease sa carrying value natin na 200,000, tapos bababa din po yung accumulated depreciation na 900,000. So it will just cause a decrease in the cost na 1,100,000. That's why after this revaluation, okay, ang cost na lang po natin was 1,600,000, which is yun po yung ating revalued amount. Okay? So I hope that that is clear. No? Wala na tayo ulit accumulated depreciation. So to record it, we debit accumulated depreciation to eliminate it, no, 900,000. Then remember, nag-decrease po tayo pero we still have remaining balance ng revaluation surplus, di ba? Kasi kanina we have 900,000 minus 150,000 in 2021, okay? Then minus 150,000 din in 2022. So we still have remaining balance of 600,000 actually, no? Okay, so kaya pa ng revaluation surplus. So we debit revaluation surplus 200,000. Then we credit the machine 1,100,000. So at the end of this last revaluation, okay, ang matitira na lang po ulit was the costs natin na 1,600,000 na lang, okay, which will give us the carrying value of the same amount to our revalued amount. Okay? So are we clear on this, class? So ganyan po pag elimination method ha. You eliminate the increase or decrease via the accumulated depreciation. Okay? So again, if you have questions po about this subject matter, please let me know lang po. So that's the end of the measurement after initial recognition. So remember that we can present our property, plant, and equipment using the cost model, okay, and the revaluation model. Sa revaluation model, it's either the proportional method or the elimination method could be used. And as to the transfer of retained earnings, or sorry, transfer of revaluation surplus to retained earnings, it could be gradually when the asset is being used, or it would be at the end if we derecognize the PPE. Okay, so with that, thank you very much, and I'll see you on our last video lecture for our PPE, no, about the impairment of property, plant, and equipment. Okay, so thank you very much. Kamsahamnida, God bless, and sayonara.